Imagine a scene vividly painted with despair and desperation, bodies awaiting burial in a frigid Liverpool warehouse, while trash accumulated in piles as high as 6 feet in the heart of Leicester Square. Roads were rendered impassable, not merely by the weight of snow but more profoundly due to an absence of anyone to clear them. The mercury plunged to a bone-chilling -24.6 degrees Celsius, marking the coldest spell Britain had endured in 16 years. This was not just winter, it was the notorious Winter of Discontent. During this unforgiving season, the icy conditions outside mirrored the frosty impasse between the workforce and the government. For those experiencing it firsthand, the omnipresent ice wasn't the most distressing aspect. It was the anguish of witnessing their beloved nation screech to a bitter, frozen standstill. As the calendar marked the close of 1978, the transition from a mild autumn, one of the warmest on record, masked an undercurrent of looming unrest. British workers were met with the ultimatum of accepting a meagre 5% pay raise amidst soaring inflation that relentlessly eroded their earnings. This led to a significant labour movement, exemplified by Ford employees who walked out in September, ultimately securing a 17% increase. Their victory didn't go unnoticed, setting the stage for broader discontent. By the close of December 1978, the convergence of labour unrest and harsh weather created the perfect storm. December 30th brought a transformation from rain to snow as a ruthless cold front rolled in from Siberia, settling in with an obstinate grip. By New Year's Eve, temperatures at Heathrow barely rose above -3, while streets vanished under a heavy shroud of snow. With Britain already strained by industrial action, it now faced the uncompromising might of nature. In particular, the southwest bore the brunt of this unyielding snowfall. Devon experienced drifts that towered at 6 feet, and in some regions, snowbanks reached up to 8 meters. Villages such as Ilfracombe were accessible only by helicopter. Major routes like the A20 between Dover and Folkestone solidified into impenetrable walls, while on the Isle of Sheppey, lines of vehicles lay abandoned, encased in snow. Under ordinary circumstances, such conditions would have been swiftly managed. Gritters would have tirelessly worked through the night, ensuring clear roads by dawn. But these were far from ordinary times. The gritters were immobilized by strikes. Local councils, citing staffing shortages and ongoing disputes with unions, were unable to mobilize efforts to alleviate the crisis. Consequently, the snow remained, and Britain ground to a halt. By mid-January, the situation escalated from mere inconvenience to outright peril. On January 13th, Carnwarth in Scotland recorded temperatures plunging to a staggering -24.6 degrees Celsius, the third lowest ever documented in the UK. It was a cold so intense it froze breath mid-air, a chill that rendered the outdoors something to be endured, not enjoyed. This extreme freeze caused pipes to burst in countless homes across the nation, affecting not just a handful but thousands. Water mains froze solid, leaving families to wake in homes devoid of running water, without heating, their windows adorned with thick, obstructive patterns of frost that required scraping just to glimpse daylight. Even those fortunate enough to have central heating found it struggling against the cold's relentless grip, while most households, still dependent on coal fires, went cold as coal deliveries ceased. The strikes, stripped to their essence, were not driven by greed but by the fundamental need for survival. In Liverpool, a gravedigger recounted his perilous work, descending into mud-filled graves that threatened to collapse around him, drenched in slime, his life on the line each day, all for wages scarcely sufficient to meet his rent. On January 22nd, the gravediggers in Liverpool and Tameside made a bold move by walking out of their jobs, a decision unprecedented in their careers. It was not something they had taken lightly, but rather a response to grievances that had been building up over time. The implications of their strike were severe and immediate. As is the constant cycle of life, people continued to pass away, but now there was the striking issue of no available personnel to perform the essential task of burying them. This led to a chain reaction that overwhelmed the systems in place. Funeral homes soon found themselves at full capacity, unable to accommodate the increasing number of bodies. Subsequently, hospital mortuaries reached their limits, and undertakers found themselves entirely out of space. Desperate for a solution, Liverpool City Council made the unprecedented decision to repurpose an empty electronics factory located in Speke as a temporary storage facility for the deceased. This makeshift arrangement soon housed up to 150 bodies, each respectfully sealed in heavy-duty plastic bags, augmented with preserving crystals to slow decomposition. Despite this grim setting, the situation remained dire, with the facility receiving an additional 25 bodies each day, compounding the heartbreak of the families involved. The emotional fallout for the bereaved families was profound and distressing. The customary farewell rituals were disrupted, with funeral services relocated from the familiar cemetery chapels to churches further away, a measure intended to prevent potential clashes between mourners and the striking grave diggers. This added an additional layer of anguish, as grieving families were forced to drive past the cemeteries, reminders of where their loved ones should have rested in peace, only to know that those same loved ones were instead stored in a stark warehouse. This crisis provided a feast for the media, as sensational headlines dominated the news cycle. Journalists wrote vivid accounts of the piling bodies and even speculated on radical measures such as burial at sea, further fueling public outrage and concern. It was a period marked by both heartbreak and humiliation for all those involved. As Liverpool's medical officer of health raised the hypothetical scenario of a prolonged strike lasting several months, it sent waves of panic through the public. The notion of months without essential services struck fear, and politicians were quick to express their outrage, decrying it as a violation of human decency. One vicar went as far as to claim it threatened the very fabric of society, and his words seemed to resonate deeply. After all, when you face the grim reality that you cannot even bury the deceased, what remains of society's foundation? The gravediggers, whose job had become a focal point of chaos and sorrow, eventually reached a settlement after a 2-week standoff, agreeing to a 14% pay rise. Only then could the backlog of bodies be given the dignity of a final resting place, but the damage to Britain's international reputation was significant and lasting. This was more than just an industrial dispute. It had become emblematic of a faltering nation, teetering on the brink of dysfunction. With little respite, the relentless tide of strikes persisted. The binmen initiated their walkout on January 22nd, leaving rubbish to accumulate unchecked on every street corner. In a demonstrative act, the Conservative-led Westminster City Council began dumping refuse in Leicester Square, a bustling centre of the nation's capital, creating towering heaps of black bags. These rotting mounds became a breeding ground for rats, an odorous symbol of decay as the wet blankets of snow draped over the city. The disarray was not confined to waste management. Ambulance drivers in certain regions refused to respond to emergency calls, compelling military intervention to handle critical incidents. Hospitals scaled back their operations to deal with emergencies only. NHS workers, poorly compensated compared to their peers, took to the picket lines with placards aloft. In one striking instance of defiance, staff at a hospital chose to deny the health minister his morning tea and newspaper during his stay for treatment, a small act of protest with significant meaning. Adding to the turmoil, lorry drivers went on strike, halting the flow of fuel. This disruption left supermarket shelves barren, as fresh food lay rotting and undelivered. Even if supplies did reach their destinations, there was no one available to unload them. In Hull, desperate farmers, unable to secure feed for their livestock, resorted to dumping deceased piglets and chickens outside union offices. Their grim protest was met with accusations from union representatives, who claimed the deaths were intentional. However, the farmers insisted their hand had been forced by the strike's stringent conditions, igniting a frenzy of accusations. In the political arena, Prime Minister James Callaghan's misstep left an indelible mark. While Britain endured sub-zero temperatures, he attended a summit in the warmth of the Caribbean. Upon his return on January 10th, his dismissal of the crisis as an exaggeration by the press was catastrophic. The Sun newspaper splashed the headline "Crisis, what crisis?" across its pages, amplifying the perceived indifference of a leader perceived to be out of touch with his country's plight. By the middle of January, normalcy had become an elusive dream. Schools shuttered their doors, businesses ceased operations, and streets once bustling with activity lay barren beneath accumulating snow as clearing efforts stalled. Those who dared to brave the harsh conditions wrapped themselves in countless layers and still returned home, teeth chattering from the cold. Yet, amidst the chaos, glimmers of humanity shone through. Neighbours became lifelines, checking in on one another. Strangers united to dig out buried cars. Amid the scarcity, there was always someone intent on making tea, even if it required melting snow to brew it. Pubs that remained open offered more than warmth. They provided a refuge where people gathered by the flickering flames, sharing anecdotes and laughter that momentarily banished the chill outside. It was not merely about comfort. It was about fostering a sense of community, something that proved invaluable during that harsh winter. As February arrived, it brought with it yet more harsh blizzards, testing the nation's resilience. From the 14th to the 16th, the region experienced some of the harshest weather conditions recorded that winter. Massive snowfalls blanketed the landscape, coupled with fierce easterly gales that howled mercilessly, lowering temperatures to a bone-chilling -3 degrees Celsius. The gusts were relentless, reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour, creating a tumultuous environment. The roads could not withstand such ferocity. Cracks split open the asphalt, and potholes appeared as if conjured overnight, posing hazards for any daring traveller. The south coast faced a devastating blow when a powerful storm surge struck, sweeping parked cars from the seafront car park with such force that they were carried off into the tumultuous sea. Enormous waves relentlessly hammered the coastline, furthering the destruction. Yet, amid these chaotic scenes, the strikes persisted undeterred, a testament to the resolve of those involved. It wasn't until February 14th that a turning point was reached. Government officials and union leaders finally came to an agreement, signaling the beginning of the end for the strikes. Despite this breakthrough, the country had already incurred heavy losses in the labour sector, with almost 30 million working days forfeited nationwide. The economic repercussions were severe, leaving the nation strained and its collective patience worn thin. The arrival of mid-February brought with it a much-needed thaw. As temperatures began to rise, there was a palpable sense of relief in the air. Water dripped from thawing rooftops, revealing roads that had been buried beneath the snow. The sight of the first milk delivery, mercifully unfrozen, brought unexpected joy to many, prompting cheers from onlookers delighted by this small return to normalcy. However, as daily life slowly and cautiously edged towards normality, an underlying feeling of unease lingered. The harsh events had indelibly altered the national psyche. Trust had been eroded and the scars of the crisis were not easily forgotten. By May, with the elections approaching, the mood across Britain was reflective of these turbulent times, as citizens prepared to voice their sentiments at the polls. In a sweeping victory, Margaret Thatcher and the Conservative Party seized power, achieving a landslide win that redefined the political landscape of Britain. The Labour Party, bearing the blame for its inability to maintain control, found itself ousted from power. The fall of James Callaghan's government marked a pivotal shift, as the policies implemented by Thatcher in the aftermath dramatically transformed the framework of trade unions in the country. Stricter regulations on strikes were established, and the necessity of holding ballots became a standard practice. This significant adjustment tipped the balance of power in workplaces and significantly curtailed union influence. For better or worse, the notorious Winter of Discontent signified the close of a significant era. Conversations with individuals who endured that tumultuous winter reveal that it wasn't solely the biting cold that lingered in their memories. There was a pervasive sense that the fabric of the nation was unraveling. Images of uncollected garbage lining the streets, unburied dead, and icy pathways paint a stark picture of those days. Yet amid the adversity, there were tales of resilience. Neighbours banding together, strangers stepping in to lend a hand, and a quietly persistent spirit echoed through the community with a resolve that assured, "We'll get through this." Ultimately, Britain did persevere. The snow that had seemed endless eventually receded, the strike ceased, and life resumed its course. It's a period etched in the collective memory of those who experienced it firsthand. Were you a part of that history? Can you recall the towering snowdrifts, the persistent strikes, and the daunting feeling that the winter was interminable? We invite you to share your stories in the comments below. What stands out most in your mind from that challenging, frost-bitten chapter of our past?